countries represented here tonight or here at this clinic, and from people all over the world that come to share their lessons and learn from us and work with us to help improve the sport. And if we could please have anyone that is not an American citizen to stand up, and we'd like to thank you for being here with us this week. One of the best ways to learn in coaching in the sport of swimming is to be a part of the American Swimming Coaches Association Board of Directors, because there's so many other good people to listen to, and it's also a wonderful way to serve. The mean age, again, is rising, and we're looking forward to those of you that are younger and have new ideas or new things to champion to become a part of the leadership in all facets of swimming, but in the American Swimming Coaches Association as well. Would all those folks that have ever served on the board of directors for the American Swimming Coaches Association please stand up so we can thank you as well? It is wonderful to see the legends across various parts of the room and the people that you're going to hear from tonight or just have a chance to speak with around dinner or outside. And so many of that have represented the United States in international competition. And for one final recognition of all you folks tonight, if you could please stand, anybody that's represented the United States in international competition, please stand up so we can thank you as well. Our order of events: the Age Group Coach of the Year Award, the Owsley Award, the Councilman Creative Coaching Award, and then we will truly take a break so you can enjoy your company and dinner. And then we will move on to the ASCA Hall of Fame inductions and the ASCA Coach of the Year. I'd like to bring up Dave Arlick from the Fitter and Faster Tour and Guy Edson to please present the Age Group Coach of the Year Awards. Dave puts on a program where professional athletes can go around the country and help people in their programs in swimming faster. And it's a great opportunity for professional swimmers to continue to earn income as well as serve clubs and kids around the country. But he'll probably tell you even more about it than I just did. Dave Arlick and Guy Edson from the ASCA staff.
Chuck, thanks for having me. John, thank you. Last weekend, I was in San Jose, California, and I was spending, I like San Jose too. The weather's very nice. I got a nice tan. My wife, she's a plastic surgeon, and she told me that I got too tan, and that's a completely different story. But last weekend, I was in San Jose with eight Olympians, and we were talking a lot about marketing in the next 4 years and actually the next 8 and 12 years and what's the swimming landscape going to be like. And I posed a question and I said, you know, if you were to describe every member of the 2012 Olympic team, how would you describe them? And everybody said, you know, talented or hardworking, and that was pretty much the unanimous description of everybody on the team. And then Claire Donahue asked me, and she said, how would you describe everybody that you know on the 2012 Olympic team? And I said, well, I don't know everybody on the 2012 Olympic team, but I can tell you from the athletes that I have worked with over the years, like Gary Hall Jr. and Matt Biondi and Matt Grievers and Cesar Cielo and many others. I think the one word I would use to describe all those athletes is inquisitive and students. And, you know, they're all hardworking, but I think what separates them is that they're really inquisitive. And when you look at like the last 15 years, the number one technology of the last 15 years, a lot of people will say, you know, it was the swimsuits. The swimsuits made the athletes faster. I actually think it was YouTube. I think YouTube is what's made the athletes faster. It's given them the ability to look at other swimmers and see what they're doing. And when someone in Australia breaks a world record, you know, 5 minutes later, you can get onto the computer and see what they did. And, you know, back in the day when Popov broke the world record in the 50 freestyle, you don't even know if it really happened because it happened, but it wasn't on video. And athletes like to learn from that, and they like to see what happened, and they like to learn. And that comes from the age group coaches. I think, and I know, that it's the coaches who instill this spirit of inquisitiveness and being a student, and it gives me a great pleasure to be able to present these awards to the age group coaches of the year, because you're more than just giving these athletes workouts. You're encouraging them to do a sport that maybe they'll be Olympians at, or maybe they'll just, you know, make a B relay for their high school swim team, and I think that's an important goal. So thank you for what you do and giving us an opportunity to do what we do.
Thank you, Dave. Since 1986, the American Swimming Coaches Association has been honoring outstanding age group coaches throughout the United States. We meaning the ASCA staff, the ASCA board of directors, and especially all of you head coaches, we appreciate, respect, applaud the diligence, patience, dedication, and skills of those coaches involved in developing our younger swimmers. In your banquet program, you'll see the honored age group coaches in various LSCs. We're pleased that several of them are here. We're going to call them by name and ask them to come up on my left and receive your award. And if there's anyone in the audience whose name I don't call, please also come on up. From California, Don Garman. Don, are you here? From Gulf, Shayna Trabona. From Indiana, Alex Haley. From right here in Louisiana, Sarah Londrano. From Maine, Jay Morissette. Mississippi, Warren Holliday. From New England, Jack Focarelli. From Pacific, Joy Samatelli. From San Diego Imperial, Michael Galindo. And from Snake River, Jeff Hartley. And again, if there are any others, please come on up. Stay right here. Come on over. We're going to take a group picture. Congratulations, Jay. Once again, thanks for coming out. See me afterwards so we can order a real award for you.
Definitely, thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Yeah. Congratulations. Folks, at the end of the presentation tonight, we're going to have our coach let me photograph of all of you. I'll go away from that.
Age Group Coach of the Years. Our next award is the Owsley Award. And the Owsley Award is a very special award of service to the American Swimming Coaches Association and to swimming in general, that as you can see from the list up here, is not given each year. As a matter of fact, it's not given very often. You all have a blue pamphlet on your table, and if you take a look at that, this is from 1971 of the first World Swimming Clinic. And look at the names at the beginning that start with Carlisle, and the name that finishes at the end, Councilman. And those of you that know even a little bit of swimming history in the middle, the incredible list of speakers, Theory, Gathercall, Montrella, Dayland, that went on down the line. How is this possible to put together a clinic like that? And what I really noticed was on my birthday that year, 6:30 p.m. sharp, a chartered bus left the Mount Royal Hotel, the south side entrance, for a banquet at the Mountaintop Chalet. We've come an awful long way in the last 42 years, but why are we on the second floor, John, rather than in the Mountaintop Chalet? I'm not quite sure how that happened. But we have someone that can tell us how the rest of this could have possibly happened back in those days. And here to introduce the Owsley Award is the mentor of mentors, a man who mentored great coaches, including ASCA Hall of Fame coaches like Skip Kenny and Ron Ballatori, Jay Fitzgerald, Jonty Skinner. I think of him as the linchpin to the great surge in American swimming in the 1960s and 70s. You heard a lot about him earlier today if you saw the Rick DeMont movie, being Rick's coach at the Olympics in 1972. One of the great legends in the history of American swimming, and the 1984 head coach for the United States Olympic swimming team, Coach Don Gambrell.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You never know how many more times you might get a chance to do that. I thought that he was going to take all my speech, but he only hit part of it. And it seems I have so much trouble reading my own writing. My wife refuses to try. We'll see how we can do. But I've known this guy for so long that I could just probably throw this away and ad-lib it anyway. Ron Gilchrist is a very dear friend of mine, has been since the 1960s. And he had a couple of brothers also that went to USC and were captains of the team at the University of Southern California, also Olympians. Ron himself swam at Long Beach City College, and they had a tremendous year under Monty Niskowski, winning the Southern Cal championships and the state championships. Ron also was an Olympic swimmer, and one of his real claims to fame is marrying a girl named Lenora Fisher. She sits over there beside him. She's been putting up with him for 56 years. And Lenore herself was on 2 Olympic teams. I believe it was 52 and 56. And I had a chance to meet her in 1956, the same time I met Jack Nelson. I was on a destroyer in Australia. And that, I think, was one of the main reasons I had an opportunity to become Olympic coach, was going to those Olympics and meeting a guy like Jack Nelson. And that's a lasting impression for you. But Ron has done just about everything there is to do. He coached in Canada, started out with an assistant to George Gate. Both Ron and Lenore came from the small town of Ocean Falls. It's a mill town on the coast in north of Vancouver. Very, very small town. I believe, if I'm correct, that the pool was 20 yards long. I guess there wasn't anything else to do in that town because they turned out most of the Canadian Olympic team for over 25 years with a coach named George Gate. Ron started his coaching as an assistant to George, later moved on to Prince Rupert, and from there went on to the Montreal Athletic Club where he coached for several years before he went on into business and no longer coached. Ron, at the same time, took a team from Canada. Now imagine this, they traveled for 44 days, and he took that team to Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. So you can just imagine being Ron Gilchrist for 44 days and having your children with Ron Gilchrist for 44 days in his heyday. Ron is just a tremendous person, as always visualizing and having ideas and things that is out in front in many cases. He was the one that came to the board of directors with a plan in 1971 to put on an ASCA clinic in Canada. And it was hard for him to sell that to our board of directors. But he put up a little cash to back his effort, and so we gave him that opportunity. And the whole story of the first show wasn't told to you. You just were introduced to part of it as far as the place that we were supposed to have the clinic. But we loaded up the buses, and I think there were some 600 people at that clinic, loaded up the buses, went up the mountain to this grand place to have this, and all of a sudden we got up there, and there was another function going on. Now here you are in Montreal, Canada, with 600 and some coaches, and your banquet hall isn't available. Well, how he did it, I still don't know, but we went to a place called the Old Munich, and it was wonderful. We had Moon Pa Pa bands, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful evening. In fact, it was so good that we back to Montreal the next year. And I still don't know how anybody could do that in any city in the world, to show up with all of a sudden 700 people and say, I've got 700 guests for dinner, can you help me? He did it. Ron he's done so many things, and I've done so many things that we can't tell you about with him. But one of the other things that he pulled off at that first night and the talk or the clinic was he had a coach named George Campbell, and George was on the list, and you'll see him there listed. And and this is almost a sinful word now, he was giving a talk on massaging your swimmers. Well, his candidate to massage happened to come in a Playboy bunny uniform, and he gave a very inspiring talk. I could go on for a long time talking about Ron, but he went into business and was really the first manufacturer in the United States for goggles that swimmers could actually wear and train in. We had all sorts of different things that we used to try to save our eyes from falling out of our head, and he started on these, and he manufactured these goggles, and he got some plastic injection machines and started making them just out of his back pocket and mortgaging his house. Lenore fortunately went along with that as well. And I can remember, and you, the older generation, remember a guy named Don Sonia walking around the deck at the 1972 Olympic trials, all up one arm and all up the other were all these goggles of different colors, and he's walking around selling them for a couple dollars a pair. Ron got in his car, went down the east coast of the United States all the way to Florida from Montreal, all the way up through Alabama, through Texas, and meeting with different coaches and getting us to take boxes of 200 or 300 pair of goggles at, again, I don't remember the price. I think the retail price was $2, but he did that with his truck loaded or his car loaded up with these goggles, and he put the goggle